which is actually what I normally do this week. I've bent the rules this week because Tim put up the shows and he said, any problems, let me know. And I thought, well, I normally would say I can't do Saturdays. But I thought, well, yeah, but there's only a couple of weeks left to go.
Do you win the quiz?
No, it's a really hard quiz. Ignacio Lopez does the quiz. If you look up Comedy Lopez on various social media, so comedy and then Lopez Lopez. Not now because I'm on. Oi, listen to me instead. I'm hampering you this week. You can listen to Iggy next week. No, he does put it up online as well. So what we'll be doing tonight is watching the quiz after I finish my radio show. And so you can watch it back. Obviously, what you can't do then is interact because, well, you won't see the messages unless you've got a time machine.
Yeah.
But he does that every week, and the questions are really hard. And then last week he said, I think I've made the questions too easy, and we were doing well up to a point, and then we got like 4 out of 10 in one of the rounds. Then there's some absurd questions. They are quite funny, but it's like, oh, come on. It'll start sort of messing about with you a bit. Like the answer... actually, Sugar Babes came up as a question. And
no,
that's what they said in the Sugar Babes. How many members of the Sugar Babes have there been? And when it came to the answers, he said... No, it's not 6. We put 6.
No, it's 6.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was 136.
Okay, right. Explain that one, Jamie, before I go.
Well, as in the right answer was 6, but he was making a comment that there's been so many members of the Sugar Babes that the correct answer was 136. And somebody said, no, it's 6. He said, I won't accept 6. It's 136. So there'll be the odd question like that.
Is it because of the comedy?
Yeah, not all the answers are wrong, by the way. I don't want to put you off doing the quiz after promoting it. But, there'll be the odd question in the middle somewhere where you'll just go, oh, Iggy, come off it. It's all in good humour. But, daft things like that. So,
Okay, right. Well, I better let you go, as I keep saying that, and I'll let you start your show because I started my show 15 minutes late. I did start my show on time, but unfortunately, my stream, because I had it on a different wavelength, the stream was streaming, but it wasn't coming out the other end. So
yeah, I thought something had gone wrong. I was on my phone trying to sort of restart off the chart radio and go, what's going on? So,
it had gone wrong. It was me who'd gone wrong, but never mind.
I think we have.
Again, Tim.
Before you go, I think we have producer Mum.
Yeah. Hello.
Oh, hello, producer Mum.
Oh, it's so good to hear your voice. I wanted to vote for you to both do the show together all the way through.
I can't hear her.
Oh.
Jim, isn't there any chance you could persuade him at least to do an hour with you?
I can hear her.
Why not? That's no good. Ugh.
Can you hear me, Jim?
It sounds like
I can
my
hear
show
you.
all over. It sounds like my whole show, my show all over again, doesn't it?
It's just a bit daft because I've set it up so that you should be able to hear. Oh well, sorry about that. I didn't mean to throw things. Hang on, right. So let's try that. How about now?
Hello.
Hello.
Producer Mum.
Oh no! Now we can't hear either of us. Let's try that. Hello.
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 Hello. Can you hear us all now?
I can hear you all now.
Yay!
Oh, it's good to hear your voice.
Hello, Jason.
I was just saying, I put a vote in. Can't you stay on at least for the first hour with Jim?
Well, I'm going to have my tea.
Oh.
Same as my normal excuse, basically. Yeah, I need to have my tea as well.
I haven't actually had my tea yet, so I better. If I stay on for an hour, then I'll be famished by then.
Half an hour. Till 8:30.
Oh, go on. I'll stay on till 8:30.
Yay!
But you go take over, and then I will be the person on the other end singing.
All right.
Does that work? Does that work?
All right then. Deal.
Right.
Yay.
Okay. I'll stay until 8:30. All right. So I'm going to hand over to you, Mr. Member.
All right, I better be ready on the button then. Reach down to this keyboard.
2, 1. All yours. Right, I'm just going to go silent for a minute, alright, Jamie?
Okie doke. Oh, that was meant to be me. It's always fun handing over. I've got 2 computers on the go, and so I was just like, I better be ready on the button tonight. And I was just reaching down to the mouse, and I thought to myself, yes, 2 weeks in a row. That is perfect. Of course, all the while forgetting that I needed to actually press the next song, so I was just there going, yep, that top of the hour jingle came out absolutely perfect, yes. Oh, oops, play.
Jamie? Jamie, are you there? I'm just going to switch my oven on, alright? So to get my fish, at least I can start the process anyway. And also put some lights on as well. And I might get a glass of prosecco as well while I'm there. So I'm here, and I might be able to stay a bit longer than half an hour if I could get the Okay. Am I coming through all right? Okay. Okay. Let me sort that out, and then I'll put my oven on. Can you hear me, Jamie? All right or not? No. Can you hear me? Okay. You can, because I'm in the kitchen now. I'm in the kitchen at the moment. As long as you can hear me, that's the main thing.
Cara Dillon and Black is the Colour. Brilliant song there. And I mentioned that, Jason actually mentioned on the show before about the festival that we were part of, the Isolation Festival, me, producer, mum, and dad. But we were also watching the Folk on Foot Festival recently as well, and Cara Dillon was on there. And on my last show, I said how amazing it was to catch Cara Dillon live finally. I know it was virtual, but I've never actually caught her live in person. So yeah, Cara Dillon and Black is the Colour. And Patrick Lawler, Henry Martin's Ghost, always plays that as the background music when we're about to have a gig. And he's just posted on the Henry Martin's Ghost page. So if you look on traditionalirishband.com, you can find that they've sort of jumped on the whole bandwagon of people releasing tracks and making it easier for you to get their music. So yes, I'm biased, but it's something that they've ventured into, us all being in lockdown. And normally, I know they have done the odd digital download here and there, but this is the first time I've seen it happen in a wholesale sense. And of course, Patrick was on the wedding program I mentioned as well, the Hitched at Home program with Fred Sirius from the First Dates restaurant. He put on a wedding for this couple in London who were obviously stuck in lockdown, and so he made their wedding day very, very special indeed, but all safe and all at home with the family on the screens. I know it's not the same, but it's with all of those professional people behind it. It was as close as you could get to the wedding day that they would have hoped to have had. And the bride's mum playing some music as well, and then to add on to it, I thought, well, that's nice. He's brought her in. He's picked up on that. He's picked up on all these things, and he's brought her in to play the piano, the bride's mum. And he got the groom's mum to do a speech, and the groom's mum and dad were talking, everything about how to plan the speech. So he'd woven in all these elements. But then what was incredible was her mum. Then they added on like this professional symphony orchestra to do extra bits on it. Oh, it's just beautiful, really beautiful. Like the next band that I only caught from the car park at the Gower Folk Festival years ago because we were stewarding. We did have tickets a couple of years running, but for some reason that year we couldn't go to the whole thing. So instead of getting tickets for the whole weekend, I think we got like day tickets for part of it and then stewarded for part of it. And maybe I snuck in and caught a little bit of them in between. But this is a band called Lady Masery, and carrying on with our colours theme, and also a nod to the fact that lots of my music is stuck in amber, as I've kept mentioning. Here's the colour of amber. Testing 1 2. That's better. Sorry, people on stream. I was seeing the gauges come up, and I was a bit worried. That's better, given everything that's been going on to do with people not being able to. Let's try and turn that down a bit. Due to people not being able to broadcast music on stream, all I could see was volume coming up And I thought, uh-oh, I'm not talking, so... So that must be music then. But it turns out it wasn't. Thank goodness. Right, okay.
Was that me or was it music?
So I was just having a chat, because I'm doing the video stream as well. I normally do a bit of an introduction to let people know what's going on, but I couldn't this time because for some strange reason it was just... all the volumes were all wrong.
Okay. Right.
Still showing. Oh, whack. That's my fault. I was going to say it's still showing your last song. But that's because I haven't updated the track titles again.
Oh, Jamie.
It's alright, I'm putting up every song. I can update it manually, so that's okay. So I'll give it 30 seconds of the last track, and then we're only 2 tracks in, so we should be okay.
Now, Jamie, do
Yep.
you know how the because we're doing internet radio, Peninsula Radio, for the community of the Roseland, but we've obviously got PPL and PRS. We've got those licenses.
Yeah.
We need to have obviously all the catalogue numbers and all this and that and the other. Do you know the easiest way of us getting that information? We've got obviously the song title and the names and all that.
Oh, hang on, I've got 20 seconds to link.
All right, fair enough. Oh, I'm almost sat down.
Oh, I need to put you live then. Oh, sorry, Lady Maisry. Beautiful song there, Lady Maisry and The Colour of Amber. And just as I was apologising off air to Jason for the fact that I nearly put him on air when he wasn't expecting it by pressing the wrong button, I actually put myself on air about 3 seconds before the end of the song. Sorry, apologies for that. But hello, Jason.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm on my way back to my seat at the moment because what I've done is I've just put my oven on for fish and chips.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. I know.
We went to a certain well-known takeaway earlier. After me criticising people who went to well-known takeaways. But I was criticising them for a very different reason. I was criticising them for only managing to last like a week. We've lasted like several months now, come on, so
Yes.
yeah. And we also went when the queues weren't too long, so that's different. But yeah, it was very, very nice. Not as nice as fish and chips, though.
No.
Nothing beats fish and chips.
No, so I preheated the oven, so another 10 minutes and I'll be in there putting the fish in.
So it's all going okay then?
Yeah. It's nothing too major. It's just a frozen fish and frozen chips.
Well, hopefully they're not going to be frozen after they've spent that long in the oven.
Hopefully not, no.
Hey, I made myself a bacon roll the other day.
Okay.
Sometimes I surprise myself. Yeah, you got to remember that Dad's the chef of the family.
What's his speciality?
Mum cooks a bit, but I don't. Well, my speciality is noodles. And one day when I was adventurous, noodle baps.
That doesn't really work though, noodle bap, does it?
You'd think that, but it actually worked surprisingly well. I actually thought that I've invented something amazing here, and then I said it on the internet, and people said, "Yeah, I make noodle baps, so it's not as rare as you think." Certainly not a patentable invention, put it that way. So people have got there before me. But yeah, it works. You just got to obviously make sure the noodles aren't too wet going into the roll, or you'll have noodles with bits of soggy bread. Yeah, well, but it had more integrity than some burgers, and there's nothing. I'm not going to mention any names or restaurants or whatever, but sometimes you have this gorgeous burger, absolutely gorgeous burger. Fillings, spectacular. Taste, spectacular. But it comes in like the thinnest bread roll you've ever seen in your entire life. And you've got to take one bite and the back half falls off of the top bun, you just go, for goodness sake. And then you take a second bite and it just kind of discombobulates.
The whole thing goes, and all you're left with is you're handling the burger. You
got like one strip of lettuce in one hand, like a mushroom and a bit of bacon hanging off the other hand, and the burger's normally you normally still got the burger in your mouth, just kind of like going, What's the etiquette in this situation?
I know. But
Oh, dear.
it's all hopefully beginning to be eased a little bit more now. So you people can get takeaways. People can go through drive-throughs.
Yeah, there are
I
people
think that
putting screens up in various places. I mean, uh, I'm generalising horribly, but the sort of Eastern world seems to be a little bit more ahead. Well, yeah, to be fair, they've had more advanced warning than us, putting that in a very odd spin. I'm not trying to do an inappropriately weird spin there. I just mean that they got it before us, and they've gone through lockdown before us, and they've come out of lockdown before us as well. So there is a
yeah,
positive there. But yeah, there's restaurants where people are really taking to it, and just plastic screens in between booths, but letting the people can still talk to each other through them, and it's
yeah.
booking only. And there's some restaurants that have got bookings for months in advance already. So
Yeah, well, we're hoping that if everything goes according to plan, that people, restaurants, and social distancing stuff can start happening in like July, isn't it? Isn't that? I think that's the plan.
yeah. I mean, obviously, we want everybody to still stay as safe as
Save
possible.
as possible. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so I won't say yes, woohoo. It couldn't come soon enough. That's not quite where I want to go with that. It's like no, it can wait a bit longer if it needs to. But obviously everybody's worried about the longer it takes to open up, the worse it's going to get, and it's money wise. So I'm trying to keep this positive, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
I can
absolutely.
understand why there's pressure to open stuff up.
But there are still jobs out there. I can tell everyone there are still jobs out there at the moment. So it's just different types of jobs now. Different spins on different things now. It's quite weird. It's how if you said at the beginning of January, we'd be in this position obviously in June. You'd be saying, "Oh no, this is completely no, that's wrong," But the fact is that people are adapting, and some people are adapting. Other people unfortunately aren't adapting, and we've got to be careful and be sympathetic and be there supporting those people who can't adapt at the moment, who are struggling. My personal situation is I am home alone, and have been since the 17th of March. I haven't
Yeah.
I haven't been further than down the road, basically.
Yeah.
The 17th of March. So effectively 3 months I've been stuck in my house where my work and the radio and everything else is there. So
It's all. Have you found that as well? That did you do the same as me? That you separated things out quite well at the start, and now I found everything's just blurred together. I brought in my uni cup because I had to make uni coffee cup, and I thought, right, this is for university. This will tell my brain that I'm in university and keep everything compartmentalized. And I've got a different backdrop for my work. So this is my office. This is now my work day. I'm keeping it compartmentalized to do with my work day. And then I've got my own, just my normal, what was the only account, my personal account. Right, that's me time. It was all separate. But now I've installed programs that I use as a hobby to help with work, which is good. That's transferring my skills. But then my uni coffee cup has gone by the wayside, and I'm going on uni on my work account, which is fine. It's not work's account. It's my computer, by the way. I'm not using my work's computer for personal stuff. It's all my computer. In fact, it's the other way around. I'm using my personal computer for work stuff. But yeah, it's just all blurred into one now.
I think it's easier for me because my work computer is my work computer, and my personal computer is my personal computer, and they don't. Once the work computer is switched on, it's work.
Yeah.
It's all work and nothing. And then when at the end of the day I switch my work computer off, it's off. I'm not tempted to go back on it. I'm not saying right. I can go back for an hour to do some work which I need to do.
Yeah.
I think no. I finished for the day. I finished for the weekend. I'll go back at 8 o'clock Monday morning.
I think I do a similar thing with the switching of accounts. I'll log out of the work account and then I can't see the emails because the way I have to connect it to the work systems, I can't. I could probably, but it's more effort, so it's good. I have that separation then. People can always phone me if it's urgent, but yeah, I'll log out and I'll do the same thing. It's off. The work computer is now off, even though it's the same computer. Although I plan to have them as separate computers, it's just that I've got one computer that's so much better than the other one that it's now become the everything computer.
Yes.
So that's why. And it's just had an upgrade. I've just boosted it. I boosted it last night with a new processor.
Whoa.
And, it was nerve-wracking.
In the words of Knight Rider, turbo boost.
It almost, well, yeah. It's double the number of cores. Same speed, but double the number of cores. And just a much more capable processor. But, yeah, it wasn't as fun as I remember it. I always said how much fun upgrading computers was. It's fun when it's someone else's. Don't take that the wrong way. I just mean that... Well, no. If it's someone else's and it's their pride and joy, you treat it with more care than your own. But if it's someone else's that you're building for them from fresh... Now, I'm not saying it's a very responsible way to work to assume things are throwaway. No, I was still careful, but you knew that if you broke something, there was always a plan Z. If you broke it, there was a stock. You could just get another one. If you were clumsy and dropped a screwdriver on it, which is bad. I'm not saying that's good practice at all. But you knew there was a plan Z. And you almost never needed the plan Z. But when it's your own computer, and you've only bought one new processor, and you can't really afford to buy another one, that's a very different ball game. It's like, okay, so I had my anti-static strap on, I had an anti-static mat to put it on, and I had anti-static bags everywhere to put them on, and I was just like, there's going to be zero static. Took my jumper off so I didn't get any static, because processors are very sensitive to static. Never normally bother when I'm swapping any other components, even though possibly you should, but no, I'm there. The only thing I didn't do was gloves, but I probably should have. Other people will put gloves on. I just thought, yeah, but what if putting the gloves on introduces static? No static. Inching it into the slot. Right. Placing it so carefully, and it's like, yeah, it was just too nerve-wracking. It's like, yeah, this wasn't as fun as I remember it.
It does sound like an Open University slot now.
It is a bit. Computing with... Oh, actually, I've talked about the fact that I'm doing this Twitch experiment. There is a channel on Twitch called something like Old-Timey Computer Programs. That's not its full name because it wouldn't fit. But it's all of these old documentaries, like old BBC 1970s, 1960s. Other channels are available, but it's,
Yeah.
They are English, so I presume that they are if they're in English and they're hosted by British people, it probably is stuff that was on, Learning Zone stuff and all that. And documentary videos and things. And they've just created this. It's a live channel playing out these programs on a loop, and it's fascinating. But there was a really weird one. It shows as well. We're talking about how sort of dare I say, acceptable sexism has become less so. As in, sexism that was acceptable in the 1970s, and we look, and it's not the worst in the world, it's not insulting as such, but it definitely is sexism, as in, there's a man there at his desk, and he had a hearing problem, so he had this fantastic system where the secretary types in the words that are coming from the phone call, and they appear on the screen. And I thought, yeah, it is clever, and it did really help that person. But I thought, it's just kind of really odd. How has nobody seen here that the way it was being described was very odd? It was being described like he was doing the work, and look how much he's been helped in doing his work. He's now able to do his job, thanks to this fantastic system. And I thought, yeah, but it requires the other person to be with you 9 to 5 typing all day. And they were mentioned, they were on camera, they didn't leave them out, but it just felt kind of odd and a bit uncomfortable to me. It was like, yeah, but it's not the system. The system's just displaying the words.
I know.
It's good that it displays the words in a ready sense, and it displayed it sort of phonetically. But I was just like, yeah, this is weird. What was your thoughts? What's your thoughts on that?
I think you're right. I think you're right, Jamie, because all the generations there are. It's difficult, isn't it? Because what was acceptable in certain generations is deemed as not acceptable now. but the realization is that we have developed and we have changed, and our processing of these situations we look at these from a different viewpoint now, different eyes. But some people don't.
Sadly so.
And so, well, yeah, but then they're from a different generation, and I don't think I think also you've got to be a little bit mindful sometimes. The different generations, it's difficult for them to look at things in different ways. It's very deep, and it's very deep for 23 minutes to 9 on a Saturday evening.
Well, we could go deep in a different direction then. I've got a song up next called Forbidden Colours. So we were talking about food, going back to food. What would you say are your forbidden colours in food then?
I don't like semolina.
Semolina colour specifically in anything, or
I don't think I have any particular forbidden colours. I think anything that looks weird on a plate, probably. If you don't expect it's I think anything that looks really weird. But I don't think there's anything forbidden about colours.
It's just weird you mentioned that, actually, because it's they did something similar on Remember How To from years ago. It was on the children's TV, but actually that was quite deep for children's TV, to be fair. You know,
that was with Fred Dinage, wasn't it?
Fred Dinage and Gareth Tops, Toppy Tops, wasn't it? And wasn't Carol Vorderman on it once as well? I think Carol Vorderman was on it for a time.
See, How To was what you remember, but I remember the original How.
Yeah, I missed the original How. Love to have seen it.
Yeah, I remember that with Fred Dinage, Jonathan Miller. Well, there was someone else as well. I can't remember them now, but they were. It was a kind of it was the ITV equivalent of it wasn't Blue ITV equivalent of Blue Peter, because that was Magpie, but it was very much like a Why Don't You type thing, but it's more boffin type.
Yeah. And they did a similar thing. They got Gareth to eat some blue rice pudding off a plate with a blindfold, and he said, "Yeah, that's lovely." And then when he looked at it, he went, "Ugh."
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of psychosomatic thing going on. Yeah. It tasted the same. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm off to put my fish on.
All right. I hope it's not blue.
No, it's normal fish colour.
Good. I hope you enjoy that, and it's been good to have you on the show, and it's been good to be on your show. When are you on next?
I'm on Wednesday night between 6 and 8.
Yeah, I will look forward to catching you then. Actually, I will have it on in the background of my labs. I think that's what it is. I always miss it on Wednesday, don't I? Because I'm in labs. And then I surface from labs, and normally to a message from you saying, "Do you want to join me on air?" 20 minutes ago. Oops, sorry.
Yeah. Are you available? Are you available Wednesday evening after 7 o'clock?
If I finish my labs early, yes.
Okay. Well, I better let you go.
Okie doke. I'll get on with my tenuous track title to other.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, you soon. So that was Jason Moyle from the show before. He'll be back Wednesday 6 till 8 on Off the Chart Radio. But right now, Forbidden Colours, and by a band again. I mentioned these tracks that appear on my computer that I've ported over from CDs and compilation CDs, and I have no idea how they got there, or who they're by, or anything about them. So if you know anything about the next band, get in touch. Jamie at offthechartradio.co.uk. I'm going to see if I can pronounce it. I haven't practiced this in advance, which I should have, probably. David Sylvian and Ryuichi Sakamoto and Forbidden Colours. Apparently there are colours, that's what's making me think of. There are colours that the eye can't see that we never think of because we can't see them, but things like yellow purple or whatever. You don't see yellow purple because it's physically impossible. But there were experiments that managed to sort of make people see these forbidden colours very by a very clever means. So look it up. Have a little search online for forbidden colours. It's a real thing. It's something we never experience. So, hello to those joining me in the video stream. I normally do an introduction. I didn't quite get a chance tonight because there's something weird going on with my audio at the start of the show. Hello to Fairbles as well, who sent me a message. Sorry, I was in the middle of a link on the actual proper radio show then. So if I wasn't ignoring you. So you need to go to www.offthechartradio.co.uk to hear the actual show on the station, but you can have that on in the background, have this on in the foreground. Hi, Fables. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't miss you. That's the thing that I notice on Twitch. People are very, very quick at replying to the messages, and one, I'm slow, and two, I'm actually, I do have an excuse. I don't. I'm glad that the format of the show came across, because again, this is very unusual for a Twitch stream. There's not normally, well, nothing to watch apart from me, and also it's a real radio show. I'm doing the radio show. That's the thing I'm actually doing, and this is kind of a behind-the-scenes thing. But also, it's serving as my trial broadcasts for when I do Twitch. I mean, I'm doing Twitch for real now, but I am interested in doing some proper just chatting streams where there won't be any gaps when I'm doing stuff off air, on air. This is off air. That's on air. So yeah, if you'd like to send a message in, like Fables has just done, they'll appear up there. And if you want to email me, jamie@offthechartradio.co.uk, you can do that as well. And yeah, so if you hear me sort of, I'm acting this bit now, but if you hear me kind of go, hopefully, that'll be my actual face if I'm kind of going, whoop, song's ending. Then I'm not meaning to ignore you. I'm doing and multitasking terribly, probably. Yeah, cheers for tuning in. Have you managed, because I know somebody was trying to do that last week, watch the video stream and listen to the audio, and their tablet was only letting them do one or the other, so are you managing to get this on in the background? If so, let me know. I think there might be a slight time delay between them as well, so it may be a case of making the audio quieter on one or the other, although that's what I've been doing actually all this week. I've been, because there've been a couple of people on Twitch. Yeah, that's okay. Rob Wong, one of my fellow presenters, was actually watching me entirely on the video stream last week, which was interesting. And as I say, I'm trying to do some more off-air chat in between, make this a little bit more twitchy, for want of a better word. But also, I mean, that's what I think of when I think of a behind-the-scenes stream. It's what would be going on in the studio, because it's a little bit quiet with just me here. I got producer Mum and Dad next door on the radio mics, but yeah, I mean, it is a real radio studio. It's just my radio studio at home. But in a radio studio, you might have co-hosts or something. You might have off-air chat going on. Of course, like, hello, light. There's none of that really here. So I am trying to interject where I can. Oop, another song. Let's just play a jingle there, actually. And that was a fairly well-known, would you call it riff if it's on piano? I suppose not. Melody, motif, signature. None of those are the words I was actually looking for, but they'll do for now. David Sylvian and Ryuichi, it's gone off the screen. Sakamoto, yes, and Forbidden Colours there. Miscellaneous track from my archive on the theme of colours. Now, I've played this band a few times on the show as well. I have their LP, which I saw a friend of mine post about on Facebook, who is actually from the band, so Damien, if you tuned in. There's another Damien I've forgotten to mention, actually, so I'll mention them as well. Damien's been tuned in a few weeks, and I've said hello to him on my video stream and then forgotten to say it on air. So that's Damien Rosser there. But Damien Harris is in the band, The Echo and The Always. Probably got his name wrong there, haven't I? Gonna have to look that up. But he was just posting a photo of the album that I own, and saying, here's... I'm getting confused now. I've said his name wrong. Let me look up the right name in the break. It's because I got Damien in the brain, and I wanted to say hello to Damien, who's been tuned in week after week, and like, I think last time he said he was tuned in just before the end of the show, and I didn't get a chance to say hello to him. Yeah, we have the Echo and the Always next. I say that, but it's coming up on my computer, the Echo, the Always. So again, talking about wrong names, have I been calling them the wrong name all along? Are they the Echo and the Always, or the Echo, the Always? Have I just been insulting them all this time? Hope not. Here's a brilliant track off that LP, EP, LP. No, it's an LP. It's big. I'm really obsessed with buying vinyl from modern bands. Modern bands. Let me explain that. I just mean, bands that have only got into the recording studio and recorded this stuff after vinyl was supposedly dead and gone. Except it's not. It's just still going, and I think it's brilliant because I'm just that little bit too young to have really got on board with vinyl the first time. I mean, the odd charity shop disc here and there out of curiosity, the odd single, the odd 45 maybe, but I love the fact that I can either go online or even go into a shop and buy a vinyl from a current contemporary band that have only started in the last few years, let's say. And I just think that's brilliant. It's also a bit anachronistic. I love anachronism, where you've got, it's probably been digitally mastered and then put onto vinyl as something sort of amusing and slightly pointless, maybe. but I appreciate it. And again, yeah, I get to experience that tactile nature of picking up proper vinyl. I mean, you get it a bit with CDs, and it's definitely better than with MP3s, as I was talking to Ross Cooper about on the previous show when we had our interview, and he was the same as me. He said, yeah, I miss that tactile nature when you've got MP3s and downloads, and as I said to him, of course you can't really sign an MP3, not with a black marker pen anyway. So here's Colours by the Echo, the Always, as it's coming up on my computer. Got a bit of Pendulum and a bit of Hot Chip on the way on the show. And then we will speak to producer Mum and Dad. Yeah. And if I cough a bit, someone set off a fire again. As Dad said to me, why have they lit a fire in the rain? Even with the window closed, streaming in. So apologies in advance if instead of the behind the scenes radio stream, this turns into the behind the scenes choking on unpleasant smoke. I've called him Damien. Dean. Dopey so-and-so me. Right. No, it is the Echo and the Always, that's good. At least I haven't been calling them the wrong name. So this is a Swansea band I'm playing now, the Echo and the Always. Actually, that's unfair. Swansea and Cardiff band, I suppose, because some of them live in Cardiff. Actually, one of them went off to do a PhD in Exeter, so Swansea, Cardiff and Exeter band. Exeter in the UK, of course. So, hi, if you're just joining me on the video stream, you need to go there to tune in to the actual audio from the stream, but you can also just hear me doing off-air chat and just chatting for the next hour and 10 minutes, roughly. Hopefully I've updated the track data and it's not advertising me as playing Sonic the Hedgehog again. That's what I managed to do. I always manage to be like a Twitch, if you're on Twitch, I'm like a Twitch show behind for some reason. So actually, now that things have stabilised technology-wise, should probably give that a little check just to make sure I'm not misadvertising my stream again, because I spent most of last show saying, I don't want to misadvertise my stream, and I was. All the way through. No, thank goodness for that. Right, it says live on Off the Chart Radio pop-up. Good. Not misadvertising. Yeah. Basically, last week I did a test stream of me playing Sonic the Hedgehog, the original Master System version, and it said live from Off the Chart Radio. And then when I did my next radio show on Off the Chart Radio, it said, "Now playing Sonic the Hedgehog." It's like, no, not. That was last time. One of these days, I will master this. Whoop. Seem to be randomly hitting buttons on my keyboard. Not generally good. Let's play it. Do a jingly next, I think. No. That sort of smoke you can taste again this week. Now, as I said before when this happened, lovely wood fire. That's a pleasant smell. It may make me sneeze, because most things do, but I don't mind that. This stuff is like sort of, I don't know how to describe it. Tingly there, tingly on your tongue. It's sort of acidic is the right word for it. And yeah, not great. So an appeal again to anybody thinking of lighting fires. Well, either be a bit more considerate about the size of it, or it's like, I don't know, they must be just putting furniture that's not meant to be burnt on it or something. Happening frequently now, and it's getting very frustrating. There we go. A pendulum now on the show. Haven't heard them in a while. Actually, Jason Morrill, who was on before me, was playing pendulum quite frequently on his show, and it was making me think, oh, why am I not playing them? So what I'm doing at the moment is called the Tenuous Track Title Tour, so I'm trying to link the track titles together. And Pendulum done a song, Hold Your Colour. I've got a bit of a Colours of the Spectrum theme going on at the moment. So, yeah. And actually, this is an experiment in multiple ways, because, I mean, I've done this live stream as an experiment for a few weeks now, gradually tweaking the settings and improving things, but as you may have heard me talking about with Jason, I've only just souped up the processor in this machine. So we've gone from an Intel Core i3 to an Intel Core i7. Actually, that reminds me, I was going to monitor the temperature on it under load, with it doing streaming and encoding. And I think we're okay, yeah. To check that it's within norms, so I have to get used to the fact that my old processor, I think the maximum was meant to be 50 degrees Celsius. The maximum for this, the norm for this processor, normal range of temperatures is up to 65 degrees Celsius. And so far it's bobbing around 53, so that hopefully means my the thermal paste job that I did myself, not necessarily that hard to do, but it is something that you should do very carefully, and you shouldn't do half-heartedly without watching tutorials at the very least. Something I do know how to do. I used to work in a computer shop years ago. More years ago than I probably like to think now. It's when I was 16, 17. I say work. It's more like work experience, I suppose. But yeah, I learned a lot there. Always fixed computers as a hobby. But the last time I changed the processor, admittedly I was 14 at the time, probably about 13, I can't remember. But last time I changed the processor, I was changing like a Intel 386 probably, or 486, or some sort of AMD 586, 686 type processor. I can't remember. But there's only a little bit of a boost. K62 I think it was, actually. Anyway. Random names. But I'd never had a processor that... I'm going to do a bit of a link here. Radio mics on. Basically, 386s didn't need a heatsink at all. 486s had a passive heatsink, but there was no cooling fan on it. I didn't know you needed a cooling fan, right? So I put this processor in and watched the computer that I need. Oh, for my GCSEs. So I must have been 15. I watched the computer that I really needed for my GCSEs. A little chip on the motherboard blow up right in front of me. Pendulum and Hold Your Colour. You're listening to me, Jamie Nemeth, on the internet's #1. It's Off the Chart Radio, and I've got producer Mum and Dad with me now. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sorry, we were talking technicalities of pausing TV.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, you've got to pause the TV. You can't have that in the background of my radio show.
No,
that's wrong for many reasons. What are you watching? You can talk about what you're watching.
No, not watching anything yet, but we will be watching the Osborne Family Paranormal Show.
Oh, yeah, of course. So while I said I was watching Iggy's Pub Quiz, that's going to have to wait until after the Osbornes, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing tonight, isn't it? So are they doing that right now? Is that live right now?
It's starting at 9.
Okay, so I thought if I announced it now and it happened an hour ago, that's no good, is it? Yeah, so 9 o'clock, we've been watching, well, we often watch the paranormal programmes. I watch it with a sort of open-minded skepticism, but there are some things definitely that are like, whoa, okay, that's something. Very much like the skeptics they have on the programmes often, you know. They'll say, yeah, debunk that, yeah, this could be the dust. But sometimes even the people who are scientifically minded and skeptics will be turning around and saying, that I can't explain. So I get that enjoyment from it. It's like, okay, that's interesting. And I do like it when these programmes are really trying to treat it scientifically. Sometimes, not so much. We're not a fan of certain pieces of equipment, are we? We won't mention the names. Producer Mum.
No, but the thing, we got to remember, science was paranormal until it could be proved.
Well, that's true. I mean, imagine, you know, Galileo's days where he got into a lot of trouble for it, didn't he? Suggesting that he could see these astronomical bodies, and you know, and when the microscope was first invented as well, you know.
And the term gravity must have definitely been scary.
Yeah. Well,
Anything where you're describing something you can't see, but you can see it's having an effect on you.
yeah, quite. And then you get Einstein talking about special relativity and all that, and you think, what? But it's real. I mean, you know, we didn't have anything fast enough to prove it, really, but they've taken atomic clocks on planes, haven't they? And they come back like fractions of a nanosecond slow or whatever, but it's real. If you are a frequent flyer, maybe not right now, but if you're a frequent flyer, you'll actually experience time slower than most of us, a bit like when I'm talking about special relativity on my radio show. That also is known to have an effect on the rate of passage of time, as experienced by listeners rather than observers anyway. Although there are observers as well, so hello to you if you're watching me on the behind the scenes stream. I'm also broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitch and Periscope, and having some fun with that, although you won't hear any music on there. The music will only be right here on offthechartradio.co.uk. So yeah, we had Pendulum, Hold Your Colour, before that The Echo and The Always. I was correct, thank goodness for that. So I thought that,
And the name? You said you'd look up the
Dean,
name.
not Damien.
Ah,
So sorry, Dean. So it was Dean was posted a photo of the album, and I just posted back, great album. And he said, oh, thank you. Yeah, but it is, you know, all the tracks on there. I played History of Trees on a previous show. Go Easy is, I think that's what it's called. I know the song so well. Yeah, I think it is Go Easy. That's just a really deep song, and it's a sort of positive song, but sort of, bit of a song that tells a lot in its metaphors. So loads of stuff on that. The Echo and the Always. Now I know that the name is wrong on the computer, and it was just confusing me. But yeah, we've got our Pillars theme carrying on, and a band that did a DJ set in Monkey Cafe years ago, but I was annoyed it was a DJ set. Like, why? I want to see them as a full band. You saw this happening a few years ago, and in Swansea in general, there'd be bands who'd make it almost all the way to Swansea, but not quite. They'd just stop short. They might not even make it to Wales. Sometimes the tour would stop, like, just at the border. But now you've got the opposite happening. You've got people who are doing their only gig in the wilds of West Wales somewhere. So it's, I think, tides were turning, at least. I'm not, I'm talking about after lockdown and before lockdown, obviously. But as we were talking about, things are starting to move towards relaxing certain things. Although a venue close to us did a plan according to the current rules and found that it was a bit impractical, didn't they? When they actually mapped out where people would have to be standing, they said, well, it's cheaper to stay closed.
I think the idea has been mooted about whether some venues could stay open if they had bands in within our guidelines then, or 4 people. And so that if they had a band with 4 people, and it was brought up that a lot of bands have got more than 4 people.
Yeah,
But if they had a band of 4 people in the live venue and it was streamed, but people paid for the streaming.
Well, actually, there is a studio that's cropped up. One of my friends has ended up being involved in it, and I didn't realise what it was at first, but that's exactly what they're doing now. They've set up a little. I say little. That's not meant to be insulting. I just mean it's big compared to my studio, but it's small as in it's just the people who are being filmed. It's a filming studio and a streaming studio, no audience, and they're socially distancing there. And that's exactly what they're set up to do, is to help bands. And so, lots of people are doing amazing things from home. We've all got access to equipment that you wouldn't have had access to decades ago, and producing really good quality stuff from home. But the idea of this is for the people who can't do that, or for the people who just want something that is a studio production that is, is a lot more professional, then they can do that. They can go into these studios. I think it's called Ratio Studios, so shout out to them. They're over in the valley somewhere in Wales, and I'm sure there's other studios across the country doing similar things. So that's what they've started doing now. Bands go in there, and they're distanced. So I say small studio, but it's big enough to have. You could have maybe a 6-7 piece band in there, all far enough apart that they're abiding by the social distancing rules, and then they've got all the cameras and the kit to make that work as well. Because that's the difficulty. Yeah, you could socially distance, but how do you get them all in the frame? So I guess that's what they've got. They've got the capability to do all of that.
I suppose in some places you could have individual booths which are next to each other but sealed.
Abbey Road style. I mean, Abbey Road's been doing that for decades, long before lockdown. That's pretty much what they do. Yeah, it's definitely possible. There was an interesting experiment that I saw as well, because they were talking about. I think it was the brass band, because Josie's my sister plays in the brass band, and they were doing an experiment. They put like a piece of paper on a music stand, and the person blew, and the piece of paper went all over the place. And then they played the brass instrument, and the piece of paper hardly moved. And they were trying to say, look, as long as we're sensible, we don't necessarily need to be as far apart. But that's controversial maybe at the moment. But it was an interesting experiment. It's like, okay, fair enough. But then I'm thinking, yeah, but maybe it doesn't blow the piece of paper because it goes up. I guess that's the problem. If you're playing a brass instrument, you're catapulting everything up in the air.
It's all a case of adding up the odds, isn't it? So you're gonna. We know bacteria spreads, and a friend that's a nurse said to me, well, it works on an aerosol principle. And I stupidly thought, an aerosol, like you pick up an aerosol.
Yeah, but that's the definition of the word. That's where it comes from. So yeah, it's a very good analogy, really.
But she meant was because it's propelled.
Yeah.
So it's propelled with air in the same way as compressed air. is released from an aerosol can. So we're propelling it from ourselves in lots of a myriad of different ways, and it's so complicated when you add up the amount of time, exposure, the size of whatever it's floating in.
Well, yeah.
And it is quite complicated. So scientists have just come up with a rule to be able to interact with somebody and lower the risk as far as you possibly can. You can't eliminate it, but you can lower it as far as you possibly can. As they restrict the distance between people, that puts the risk up. So that's what is being weighed up all the time. People arguing about how much does it put the risk up? Does it really make that much difference? But the reality is, there seems to be an element of success by maintaining the distance that we've got. So at least the element is that we, in Britain, in certain areas, the numbers haven't gone up or gone down. So it is literally just maintaining.
Yeah. And it is bobbing up and down in Wales around about the same average.
Yeah.
For the moment. I'm not trying to say that's a global comment about the whole thing about like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. But over the last few days, people have been commenting online. They've said, "Oh no, it's gone up," and people have said, "Yeah, but it will go up a little bit." That's not necessarily anything to panic about. Obviously, it's it's terrible for the people involved to find out that that they've got a diagnosis. But they've said that the problem is because there's a slight delay in the tests. What will happen now, because we have managed to limit things, because it has been lowered, there's now more, well, scientifically speaking, it's like noise in the signal in a way. The time delay is having more of an effect in that bobbing up and down of the number of cases. Whereas when you've got hundreds or thousands of cases, one or two won't make the graph look much different. Again, one person getting it is a very serious thing. I'm not trying to gloss over that in any sense. But now we're down to like 6 cases, 7 cases a day. Then it will look like a massive surge if it goes up to 11. But in reality, it's just that some tests have taken a bit longer to come through that day, or that in a 2-day period. So you're getting some from today and some from yesterday and some from a week ago. And so, yeah, it's bobbing around. But I guess only time will tell is the point, What I'm really worried about is, and I guess what we're all worried about is, that everywhere I've seen, certainly around the world, who have released restrictions, I shouldn't say everywhere, sorry, not everywhere. New Zealand have released restrictions and they've got no cases because the last person who had it has recovered from it. But in a lot of places, then I'll rephrase that, a lot of places around the world, they've eased restrictions and then had to bring them back in. So, yeah, what I don't want is for us to ease them too quickly and then just have to go right back to square one again. I had a Coldplay song lined up called Square One, which actually hasn't made it onto the playlist, but that was meant to be on a couple of weeks ago. Fell off the end. I've got more Coldplay on the way later on. I can't play them yet because if I play them now, I'll have played them too many times in the show. I've tried to do a little bit of an adventurous part of the show later on, leading on from the colours theme, but I'll talk more about that in a bit.
Well, the thing that we'd seen that Dad had on before, we didn't have the sound on because we're listening to your sound.
Yeah.
Especially when it's Jason. I was listening to Jason.
Yeah.
So, that was a delight. That was brilliant. But it was showing, I think it's archaeologists looking on a battle site. And I thought, I couldn't do it. Some people go to these fairs. Sorry, voice going.
It's getting to you as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Apologies to anybody who is seems to hear us getting a bit coffee. It's because
smoke coming in
again. This happened on a previous show, and somebody's lit a fire again, and it's just streaming into the studio, even with the windows closed, and even though Mum and Dad are in a different room, it's just permeating the house. And whoever it is, please stop it. It's getting really annoying now.
But they were picking up the artifacts of war, basically, and I said, well, I couldn't. Some people go to these fairs and they handle things. And I think, no, I couldn't handle something which led to the death of somebody. But in the middle of it, you have to realise that another way in which thousands of lives have been saved is that COVID has stopped wars.
Yeah, that's
which is absolutely incredible. But we know human beings who argue about everything that we can do is in our nature, have had something more powerful than us come along and go, "Oi, sorry, you may have to pause for a moment."
Although we do like an argument, that's what I was talking about. I won't go deep. I won't go deep. I'll stop myself this show. But yeah, seeing people using things that should be reasons definitely not to argue anymore and come together are being used as arguments. And so you've got people arguing against those who are arguing against the arguments. It's just like, what?
It's human nature.
What are you doing, people?
It is. It's human nature. I think we developed language just to argue with each other.
Oh, you have to wonder. Anyway, I announced this track ages ago, so I better play it, and then I'll bring you back in afterwards. We've got an old favourite coming up on the show. But first, here's Hot Chip, which I mentioned. They did a DJ set in
don't
Monkey
say that.
Cafe.
I'm worrying about your processor.
Oh gosh, I didn't even think about that. Yes, I said this on the video stream, so that's the off-air stuff, and I keep forgetting that when I say stuff off-air, it's like a flag goes off in my brain and says, right, you've talked about that now. Of course I haven't, because everybody listening on the radio show hasn't heard me talk about it. Yeah, I've upgraded my computer. Oh, actually, you would have heard me talking to Jason about it on the previous show. I installed a new processor in my PC. So during the show, I've got two PCs on the go. One of them's handling the audio of the radio show and handling it very well, and has been for, not continuously, because there was a little bit of a break after the station closed in 2014 for the first time. But it's been handling my radio show since 2008, and it's still doing it very well. It doesn't do so well with video, so that's why PC2, as I've called it, is here with the video stream behind the scenes that I'm doing. And I've just installed a new processor, which is meant to run hotter than the previous processor. That's absolutely fine. It gave me a bit of a shock at first, because I thought, whoa, temperature's way too high. Looked it up online and checked. It's like, nope, not for this processor, it's not. It's within norms, but obviously because I've put this in myself, and when you put a processor in a computer... Well, I did a YouTube video on installing new RAM for the Terrified, new memory into a computer. And RAM's easy to install. Really easy. It's not something you should be scared of at all. Installing a processor, however, no, that's not for the faint-hearted. It's not that it's particularly difficult if you know what you're doing. And I do know what I'm doing. It's just that I haven't done it for, well, yeah, about... I mean, I don't even remember if I built this computer myself. The reason I say that is because I bought all the parts for it 7 years ago, and I'm pretty sure I put the motherboard in myself, but I think it came in a box ready built, so I literally put the whole thing in, screwed it down, put the hard disk and everything in, closed the lid, and away to go. I don't remember ever seeing the processor that was in there. So if you're not familiar with this, yeah, it's turned into tech program again. So the processor has a massive fan on the top, basically. That's the cooling fan, and that's on top of cooling blocks. It's a massive block of metal that dissipates the heat from the processor, and the fan obviously carries the heat away, because processors now run so warm, comparatively speaking, that it's not sufficient to just have the metal block on its own. You need the fan to take the hot air away, otherwise it just sits there on top of the cooling block, which has got metal fins in it which help the heat radiate away. It literally is a radiator, but the thing producing the heat is the processor, and it's not for warming your hands above. It's just trying to take away as much heat as possible. But yeah, this processor runs hotter than the one that was in there before. So after I got over the initial shock of me not having broken it for a start by my repair job, because that's just like heart stopping in itself. Because yeah, putting RAM in, clicks in, easy. Putting a processor in, you have to lift this lever up and sort of unclip it, and it takes quite a lot of force, and then you see something spring opening and go, and then you have to very gently pick up the chip. Try not to get any static on it, because that will blow it up as well. A slight amount of static electricity, and it's a goner. And processors aren't cheap. Certainly not new ones. I got this second hand, but I still didn't want to break it, right? And then it's just very carefully seating the new one into the slot. I go, please let this be right. Cranking down the lever, and it takes quite a lot of force. It's like, oh, and it's got to clamp it down with a significant amount of force so that it holds it still, so that it can support the weight of the cooling block on top of it. And you're just there going, please let this be right. Please let this be right. Please let this be right. Oh, so yeah, it wasn't as much fun as I remember. But it works. It's working perfectly. I just need to remember to keep an eye on the temperature. So thanks for that, man. Yeah, hot chips, very appropriate. I don't want it to go multicolour. That's what happened to my old motherboard. Yeah, so a tiny little chip on my motherboard went from black to yellow to white to a melted mess of black. It was one of those little tiny 8-pin chips off to the side, and I did try unsoldering and resoldering what I thought was the same. It was a hit and hope job. It was never going to work, but I mean, I melted the board with a soldering iron. I think at the time, and this was, well, yeah, I was 15, so 34, well, nearly 19 years ago. Yeah, scarily. 19 years ago, I tried unsoldering the chip, but I asked her what, I phoned up the actual company themselves. I think it was an EST board. Yeah. I said, what would it cost for a replacement motherboard? And back then it was £130. Now, £130, you know, reasonably standard price for a modern motherboard. But you know, it's around the average somewhere. I haven't worked out the exact average. Back then, you know, a motherboard would be like 30 quid. So paying £130 for a replacement old motherboard was just out of the question. So somebody was very kind. Actually, my science teacher lent me a computer, but that didn't work. So with their agreement, and what I did was I sort of part exchanged that computer, which had some bits in it that did work, but that I didn't necessarily need for a computer that did work, and a reduction in price of that. So I got myself going with another computer. It's still here somewhere. I'll have to find it somewhere. 133 megahertz. Yeah, we were on megahertz back then. As in 0.13 gigahertz. So I'm on 3.4 gigahertz now. So literally 3,400% increase in speed. All right. Yeah. Yeah. 34 times faster. It's not all about speed, of course, but yeah, that's a memory that literally, pun intended, is burnt into my mind, because I was a bit greedy and wanted to get ahead. So that's why I made a commitment at the time to myself. Actually, said I'm never ever again going to be so greedy as to try and keep up with computers. I'm quite happy being a generation behind. I don't care. So I have boosted my computer from a Core i3 to a Core i7, but it's a 3rd generation Core i7. I think we're on 9th gen now, aren't we? 10th gen, maybe? So, you know, it's old, but it's still capable, and that reflects in the price as well. Second hand, it was about £80. I managed to get this one for £70. And I have to say, pristine. I'm going to bring out a YouTube video about it, because there are other things as well. I pressed pay to buy it, and only after I pressed pay noticed a little fleck in the image on eBay, and I went, oh, what have I done? But I'd already agreed to buy it. It's like, well, look, and we're all in lockdown, we're all struggling for money. It's not fair to mess this guy about. Either I'll have to send it back, less the postage, if they're understanding, if it doesn't work, or sell it on as non-working and try and make some money back. The weird thing on eBay is that I found listings for processors that were advertised, honestly advertised, nobody was lying about it, honestly advertised as having no chip. So it was the processor, but just without the actual processor chip. It was just the board that the processor comes on. I'm not explaining it very well. But so I was like, and they were going for £100. Like, I'm missing something here. How can you buy a processor that has no processor in it? It's just the shell of the processor for £100. Yeah, I mean, it was a Core i9, but it wasn't a Core i9 because there was nothing in there. I must be missing something. Yeah, can you put your own chips in? That is a really, really scarily precise soldering job. One I would never attempt. You know, scary enough putting my own processor in. Anyway, I'll do another video link. Put the radio mics on. Just doing a quick link. Hot chip and colours. Right, so this inspired me, producer Mum and Dad, to do a new feature tonight. If we've got time, might have to cut some songs out just to make sure we get through the whole spectrum, because that's what my plan is. To try and find songs with all of the different colours in the spectrum. I couldn't find any indigo, but I have found all of the other colours. So, loosely inspired by that, and maybe it was along the thought process that I had to find an excuse to play this Morning Sky song again, one more time, for all time's sake, especially as it's my penultimate one from last, what do we call it? This I've got 3 shows to go, and this is the first of 3. That makes more sense. But yeah, I thought, yeah, it might be my last chance to get to play Morning Sky. They were on the Unchart at number 1 for something like 20 weeks, and I went up to see them live. This was a few years ago now, and they did a song called Red Cape. And yesterday, by coincidence, was Superman Day. I only found out about this from another pub quiz we do, so shout out to the Bingo Lingo pub quiz we do with DJ Ian, and he put up on his Instagram that it was Superman Day. And so I put up a photo. You can see it on the video stream, and I'll put up see if I can put up a photo on. Actually, no, there is a photo up on my Twitter at Jamie Nemeth. If you're not watching the video stream, that's fine. Just go to at Jamie Nemeth on Twitter, and yeah, I found this little cute thing. Weird. But yeah, this guy was on the floor in the supermarket, and I thought he looked kind of cute. I didn't see what the label said at the time, so I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what he was meant to be. I just thought, oh, he looks kind of cute, but okay. I tend to not be able to put... if I see something, it's like, I'm going to buy that. But I thought, no, come on. Put it back on the shelf. Let's see if we can try and find where it came from. So I looked at the label, and it's a well-known card manufacturer. So I thought, well, it's probably over by the gifts and greeting cards and things. So I headed over to there and realised, as I got there, what? That's why it's got... I think because the label was over the iconic Superman. See? Yeah. So I didn't know what it was meant to be. There's just like a label hiding that bit. So it's like, why is there this weird double-sided person thing? And they call it Itty Bitties, and they're little sort of figurine things, little plushy figurines. They've all got similar faces to them, which, you know, adds to that cuteness value. But they're all also meant to be different characters from different things. So if I quickly grab, we've got, like, you know, Dumbledore from Harry Potter there. The rest of the Harry Potter cast are up there. Can't quite reach them at the moment. And look, Buzz Lightyear with wings on the back. Look at that. Anyway, so you got all these little things, and I thought, oh, I hope I don't get too addicted to these, because I'm going to end up buying loads of them. But it's good knowing how many there are, actually, because while I thought there were about 20 or so, I would have bought all of them. Now I found out there's like 700 or something daft. Well, no, I'm not worried about collecting them all now. It's like, remember those magazines, Producer Mum, where it used to sound so reasonable at like $4.95 a magazine, but by the time you've got 100 of them, you realise you've basically spent what you could spend on a new car on them.
Well, we started to get one, which was to do with watches and things, and there's things you build things up from parts. You find you could have bought it and built it 5 times over without breaking it on the way, which you probably did from the parts.
They've said that about another famous film car that you can actually get an itty bitty of as well.
You what?
It's Marty McFly and Doc Brown in a plushy DeLorean. So yes, that one I am going to buy. I'll admit. Even if it costs me 20, 30 quid, that I'm having.
Don't forget to look out for everywhere where these comes. Don't stick to one person, because other makers are available.
Not of these.
Not of those, but I'm sure that there are other makers of different things in different ways. I
Yes,
saw
Off the
something.
Chart Radio is not promoting or endorsing or being sponsored by this particular company, so I haven't mentioned the company name. This is my personal view that I like these, and
Well, I saw something
And they're quite cute.
ingenious.
Yeah.
You know, these
Superman.
different life hack type things. And somebody just happened to be, ironically, by their computer, and they had their cup of coffee, which is never a good idea by a computer.
yeah.
You know, and they wanted to put it on something solid, and they had a couple of bricks that you can create into shapes, and they created into the shape of a square. And, oh, there we go. There's a safe place to put a mug.
Okay.
No, but there's ways of using things and creating things yourself.
And you got
That's
me
what you can do now.
I found that the other day in the present pile, because that's what happens. We get presents for Christmas, put them away, and then we forget about them for years. And that's a mug with which. Sorry, the fire's getting to me now. If anybody's listening to this on air, apologies if we get a bit. Yeah, it's not that. It's definitely not that. Somebody lit a fire outside. So.
Well, I think it's, people can be inspired now to have a go at creating certain things themselves.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And we all know my wife. I love watching on TV. Kirsty Allsop. So she doesn't know about this. I hope she doesn't think I'm a stalker. I know. I've never been anywhere near her. But officer, no.
Or even messaged her.
I don't even know where she lives or anything, so it's okay.
Mm.
Yeah, but I really adore her program. She's really good, and the way she puts things across, and how humble she was in the last program as well, because she was saying about, look, I'm rubbish at this. I'm getting helped out a lot by the entire team. I just thought it was really humble of her to say it. I mean, obviously any TV show's got a production team, but she was saying, look, I've benefited from the skills of all the people I've met, all the people who've taught me this, that, and the other, and so, yeah, she was just encouraging, to get out there and network, ask people how they do stuff, and support them and buy their crafts, and, yeah.
But it was also what she was emphasising was that even if you mess up, for a start, you're at home.
Yeah.
There's no one judging you except you, although you could be the worst judge because people often are the worst judge
That's very
themselves.
true.
But she was basically saying, no, don't judge yourself, because what you've got to think about is you've just spent this time concentrating on something, which while you're doing it, it's positive because you're concentrating on that, and it's taking your mind away from other things that you've got no control over. And that's what was lovely about it, and that's what people can do, is that, it doesn't matter what it is. If you go out and you get a stone from the garden and paint it with nail varnish, it doesn't matter. You're just doing something that's occupying your mind for a certain period of time. Without having seen that, seeing your sister trying out different makeup techniques because she hasn't used makeup for a while because she's been on furlough. That was comical for me to see, because she said, do my eyes look any different? And I thought, you're trying to find something to say to express to her, you're being really creative now. But it doesn't matter. It's not what other people think about what you do or don't do. It's just about you. Just that thing that maybe you've put off because you simply haven't had the time to do it. Even if it's practicing it because you can't now afford proper materials, just have a go at anything. I think wasn't it World doing something with knitting needles today?
I don't know.
World Knitting Day or something, that you could knit while you were doing other things like listening to the radio. I don't know. It was something like that.
Might have been. Anyway, going back to yesterday and Superman Day.
Yes.
That's why Superman was relevant. So I thought I'd play Morning Sky and Red Key, and then see how many colours of the spectrum we can fit in between now and 10 o'clock.
Oh, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Which I thought we used to go to this little white chapel on the mountain, and somebody came there one day and they described all of humanity as it being a mosaic, and I thought that was the most beautiful thought ever.
I agree there, and I guess that's perhaps loosely what I won't say alluding to, because it just happened to go on to this by chance. I've just put Superman on my mic stand, but yeah, it's yeah. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, and play Morning Sky, Red Cape, and got a bit of Taylor Swift as well. A song that I don't remember hearing. And then a song that is showing up currently as Error. Nothing to do with the hot chip. See if the playlist rolls around behind me, I'll hopefully have a screenshot of Superman with Morning Sky and Red Cape on the screen behind me. But right now, I've got a Kasabian track, and this often happens when I've imported. There's a distinct divide between when I was importing songs as MP3s off CDs and importing them in whatever the heck iTunes wanted to import them as, AAC or something. So I think that's what's happened here. There's a song that is in the wrong format, so let's see if we can... What we might have to do is play it from different software. Is that it? Okay. Yeah. Have to bypass it. Oh, oh. Yeah. Ah! Where did he come from? Look at that. Sorry about the coughing. This is local superhero Captain Beanie, and he's famous. He's a real person, by the way. Not this one. This is a plushy one. But I'll talk about it on air actually, on the actual radio show. But yeah, if you're wondering who this guy is, so he about 10 years ago, Dad. Something like that. He sat in a bath of baked beans for charity, and ever since became known as Captain Beanie. After that, and he wasn't dressed in a superhero cape or anything like. He just did it for charity. But everybody started calling him Captain Beanie, and so he ran with it. He's even run for political elections as Captain Beanie. And he's not in our ward. I'd have probably given him some support if he was in our ward, but he's not. And he's had his head tattooed, with loads of baked beans. So, and each one's got initials in it, and somebody's paid a certain amount. Morning Sky and Red Cape. And what just flew into the studio, helped by producer Mum, I suspect, unless he flew here on his own, is our local superhero Captain Beanie, and I didn't know. Where's this come from? Or have I just forgotten? Producer Mum, have I just forgotten that this existed? There's a plushy toy.
No, we
Toy
went
Captain
over.
Beanie. Where's this come from?
We went to his bean museum and he gave it to you.
What? Sorry, say that again. You went faded up. I'm so shocked by Captain Beanie. I forgot to turn your mics on.
We went to see his bean museum
Yeah.
and he gave it to you.
Yeah, and I forgot. I completely forgot. I was talking about presents that were in the corner. I forgot that this was even a thing that existed. Captain Beanie, for those who don't know, is a real person. So if you're watching on the video stream, I'm showing the picture. This I haven't got on Twitter. I'll have to put a photo up afterwards because that's beyond my multitasking ability right now. But if you head over to the video stream, I'm holding him up now. Captain Beanie is a real person. This is a plushy toy, obviously, but he is a real person. And years ago, I can't remember exactly when, 10, 15 years ago, maybe, I can't remember, maybe longer, he didn't have a superhero cape or anything. He was just doing a thing for charity and sat in a bath of baked beans for charity. Right? So he did that and forever became known as Captain Beanie off the back of that. But now it's grown into this huge thing because he is obsessed. That's the whole point. He is obsessed with baked beans, right? So he ended up being known as Captain Beanie from being obsessed enough to think, oh, what can I do for charity? I know I'm obsessed by baked beans. Let's sit in a bath of baked beans. But he also then dresses up in orange as Captain Beanie. You can follow him online on social media. He's often putting up funny baked bean related puns. And also, as we just mentioned, so it says Venus on there, so it's Captain Beanie from Planet Venus.
And he's been
Careful how you say that.
sponsored.
He's been sponsored by people. Heinz made the beans are available, obviously, but he's a particular fan of those beans, and they made a custom tin for him as well. And he's got pretty much every.
He wasn't sponsored. He's not
well.
sponsored by bean companies, but he's been sponsored by individual people to tattoo baked bean shapes on his head, which have got names, sometimes to remember people, and to help the charities.
Yeah, so on his head, not this guy's, but he's they're individual. There's something like 100 or 200 individual baked beans with initials in them, and people have paid a certain amount to do that. So sorry, I can't keep Beanie in shot. I'm trying to. He won't quite fit on the mic stand there. Can I fit him in there? Look, yeah, not without tipping Superman. That looks painful. There we go. That sort of works. He's sort of perched, eating my mic cable. There you go. That'll do. If I put Superman over there, yeah. This is totally. Oh dear. Right. Okay. There you go. Superhero microphone.
You enjoyed meeting him, didn't you?
I did.
Didn't you, Dad?
Dad.
Oh, sorry.
His house he's turned into the Baked Bean Museum of Excellence, and there have been famous visitors there as well, and we are one of them. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it was a staple thing for Dad for a very long time, so he enjoyed that.
I think it's over 20 years ago he started this.
Yes, it's got to be. It's got to be. And it's incredible. He only uses it for good. He only uses his powers for good. And
you can't.
he's
You
done
can't.
so much for charity, actually. So
You can't beat cooking a tin of beans over an open fire.
And what colour would that be?
What, the fire?
Yeah,
It's orange, isn't it?
I knew you'd do that. No, we haven't got to orange yet. We're still on red. Here's the title track from Taylor Swift's album, which again, despite being the title track, I don't think I've ever heard this one. Taylor Swift and Red. We're going to do orange next, Dad. Orange next. First time I've had a mic stand with all of these. I can't move it now. They'll follow mad. There we go. Why's he got a string on him? Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Alright then. Quite comical. Like a screenshot. I don't know if I can do that from in here. Maybe I can. Watch me now crash my video stream computer by... I'm only taking a basic screenshot straight out of OBS. It'll be good enough for Twitter. Oh. No. Gotta be one where at least I'm stationary. Right, there we go. Yes. Right, save that somewhere sensible. Superheroes on OTC. There. This is definitely testing me. Twitter. I just googled Twitter. No, I know the address for Twitter. Thank you. Taylor Swift and Red. Now, I'm going to have to be a little bit more adventurous playing this one, although it's only a very short track, because it's not coming up in my normal playout software. This is called Orange, obviously, because I found a couple of Orange songs, but they were very short. So here's Kasabian and Orange brackets interlude. And there you go. That was Kasabian and Orange brackets interlude. Okay. Yeah. Some of them are like that, aren't they? Yeah, let's carry on with the colours then. I've represented Orange now. Admittedly, not that many Orange songs on my collection. I'm not saying about song. There's Orange. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Why didn't that come up? It's just occurred to me now. REM Orange Crush. That'd be an obvious one. And yet, no. Okay. I mean, if I've got that. I'd be very surprised if I don't. This is what happens, you see, because I'm dependent entirely on my own. That didn't come up earlier. That did not come up earlier. Right. Anyway. Right. That's better, isn't it? So I was just going to excuse myself and say this is only based on my own music collection, and so I'm not saying there aren't other Orange songs out there. I thought, hang on, I know I've got this one. You're lying to me, computer. Here's REM. Make sure my mic's off live. Right, I got. Managed to tweet it. There you go. I Master all the social media. I'm going to download that image. Save, yeah. I can get it onto the other social media before the end of the show. That's my challenge to myself now. Sorry, I just couldn't let that go. I know there's a bit of a gap in between me playing that song, but I just thought how ridiculous it was that I was about to come up with some naff excuse for the lack of orange songs on the playlist after just talking about Captain Beanie, although you could argue that he's representing all of the orange right now as he sat on top of the microphone. But it's very orange. I have posted a tweet as well, so I haven't quite managed to catch up with all the other social media yet, but if you go onto Twitter at Jamie Nemeth, then you can find a picture on there of why I'm in such hysterics right now. So thanks to producer Mum for passing that in. And I've got my itty bitty Superman as well up there. So they're joining me on the mic. The superheroes have taken over the studio. You could argue that's what happens when producer Mum and Dad join me in there as well. But we're going to carry on with Yellow now. And yes, I could have played Coldplay. You could have argued that I'm leaving out Coldplay. But I'm not. They're going to come in at the end if I've got time. Let's see how much time we've got left. Oh, this smoke again. Really annoying. Can you tell? I'm normally quite calm, but this really, really, really is winding me up, especially as it's now happened during 2 of my radio shows. Who is lighting a fire? 1, as producer Dad said, in the rain, and 2, this time of night, and 3, burning stuff that obviously isn't meant to be burnt, because a normal fire does not smell like this. Although it does produce yellow light. Here's of Monsters and Men. And again, another track I haven't heard. So, yes. Half of the rainbow. This is getting even crazier. It's blurring, it's making the green disappear on the green screen as well. All the colours apart from green. I haven't got lilac wine, no, but I'm gonna play a track with a purple theme to finish off. Try and so, ooh, Superman nearly Superman nearly flew into the next song. And nearly accidentally played the next song prematurely then. Can I mess this up now? There we go. Oh, he's out of frame now. Ah. Bonkers. Right. There we go. Tip my mic up so I can still talk into it. Looks a bit strange on camera, this lay, because I've got green screen behind me, so apologies to the green, which is being underrepresented on this. That's not being represented at all. It's being chroma keyed out. So these are not invisible flowers, they are green. There we are. Fixing that right now is way beyond my technical ability as well, definitely. A bit loud. I wasn't meant to put that on. Why not? It's caught on. It's caught on my headphones. There we go. Oh, it just looks weird now, doesn't it? Because of the lack of the green. Sorry, Superman just fired off a jingle there, trying to get him to stay on the mic stand. And not succeeding. This is all going wrong. Live on air and live on stream. On Twitch and YouTube and Periscope and Facebook Live. There we go. No. That was Of Monsters and Men and Yellow Light, track I haven't heard before. And it looks like we're only going to have time for one song of each colour. And I don't normally make a huge deal on the show about being Welsh. Sometimes other people talk about it. When I interviewed Hayley McKay, she said that it's the first time she's been played on a Welsh station. I thought, well, that'll make our station manager very happy, who lives in the Cambridge area of Wales. In Cambridge, and we've got people dotted around the country. We've got people in Scotland, we've got people in England, we've got people in Wales, we've got people all the way down in Cornwall. We've had people in Ireland in the past as well. And we've had people on the station from around the world as well, of course. And Bob Ebert over in America there, and you can hear him on the station. Jason Moyle is Jason. It's Sean Connery then, talking about Scotland. Jason Moyle is on CHBN down in Cornwall. Bob presents shows regularly on there as well. And also, if you want to catch up, if I ever get round to updating it regularly again, properly, because I do every couple of months, the updates required for our current schedule, to add that to my Our Tale Continue schedule, falling behind on those a little bit, because they're daily updates almost. And I'm used to only doing like bi-monthly updates, but ourtalecontinues.co.uk has a little bit of a catalogue of OTCs past and present right now, DJs who are presenting on other stations as well, so make sure you get along to there and catch that. I will be carrying that on. It's just that I need to update it more regularly. That's the only failing. It's otherwise very good. Well, and I need to fix a little time zone issue that's crept in, because the system that it works off has changed, and yeah. So now I'm doing workarounds, but I need to rebuild it really. And I've got no excuse now. I am a software engineer, so I should be able to rebuild it, right? Just finding the time to get around to doing it. And not so much finding the time as finding the right mindset and going, right, I need to... Because the problem is when you've built something, it's very hard then to get the motivation to rebuild it, because you've already done it. It's there, it works, except it doesn't now fix it. Yeah. But if I rebuild it, what I have to do is rebuild it better. Anyway, talking about being Welsh, yes, I don't make a big thing of it normally, but here's our chroma keyed Welsh flag with the green missing. Also seem to have been given this display thing with flowers on it, so the green is being chroma keyed out as well, because I've got green screen behind me. Sorry, spoiling the illusion for those watching on the video stream. But yeah, if we're gonna just remind people, yes, I am Welsh, and yes, Wales has been represented very fairly by several DJs over the years, including Nathan Waters, who was here last Sunday for his last show. Sorry that you're not here with us for the last 2 weeks, but I hope that we'll catch Nathan on the final show, which is on Monday the 22nd of June from 7 till 10 p.m, where all the DJs are getting together to have a bit of fun and send OTC Pop-Up out with a bang. And yeah, hopefully not a bang that comes from my processor blowing up. It's doing fine. It's running currently. Hang on, we haven't had a temperature check this show. I know you've all been waiting for this, so let's do that now. Here's the temperature update. And yes, bobbing around 52 degrees Celsius, which is well within norms, although it has hit a maximum of 70 degrees. That's a bit odd. Not meant to get above 65, so maybe I need to redo the thermal paste. But yeah. Welsh. I was talking about being Welsh, wasn't I think. Seeing as we're on green. Talking about green, well, we've left it out of the picture. Hang on, let's start again. Because it's being underrepresented in my video stream at the moment, because I've got a green screen behind me, so the video stream is subtracting all of the green. So we've got to make up for it by having a song with 2 greens in the title. Seems fair, doesn't it? By the legend that is. Tom Jones, of course. Try and sort out my superhero stuff again. The screws need tightening up a bit. I do that. Ah, there we go. That's the one I missed. That should hold steady now. Too high now, isn't it? Oh. He's flying with Superman, look. There you go. There you go. But now I can't get to the mic. Oh, for goodness sake. Stay, Superman. Stay. There you go. Got the elastic holding him in now. Be safe. Have to get down a little bit to get to the mic. Oh dear. Alright, we're actually over 10 o'clock now, but we're going to play a couple more songs. And then, stick with me, because I'm going to be saying goodnight. But I will stay for a couple of minutes past that, because... What's that behind me? Oh, it's the string. Because what we'll do then is we'll have a look at another Twitch user, if you're on Twitch, to see if we can raid their stream. It's nearly the end of the show, producer Mum and Dad. In fact, it is. It's gone past 10 o'clock, but we started a couple of minutes late. So my stream time is 10 minutes short. But we are going to have time to play at least every colour of the spectrum except Indigo. I'll have to find a song called, that's got Indigo in the title for next week, I reckon. Do you know any songs with Indigo in the title? It's not Not something I know of, really.
What happened to the rest of Tom Jones's song?
That's it. That's my recording.
Oh, the last verse, isn't it?
I thought you were going to put
Oh.
purple in.
I am. That's at the end of the show. We haven't got there yet.
Okay.
We've got blue to go. But this also is like a double tenuous track. So it made up for all the tenuous links by having a doubly non-tenuous link. Ooh. Ooh. Thank you. Yeah, you picked up on that really well. So we've got a little bit
No, he
different
didn't.
song here.
He said,
It's not Panto season yet. Somebody said something the other day. That
Oh,
made me
yes, it
think
is.
Yeah, no. We got Fats Domino and Blueberry Hill.
Ah, do you want Mr. Blue in?
To what?
Mr. Blue.
Mr. Blue? What? That's it. That's either not Tom Jones or a very young Tom Jones. Who's that? I can catch the stream quick. Ah, wrong keyboard. Right, I want to screenshot who it thinks that is. Oh, yeah, but he's not on the show. Yeah, well. He won't fit on the stand. Good old knitted Elvis. Elvis Pilsley. Pilsey. Elvis Pilsey. Knit one, pearl one. That's where it came from. Elvis Pilsey. Purlsey. He's got a Twitter. He's got a Facebook. Got his own mic. Brilliant. Person who knitted this can't draw, can't paint, but can knit these. Not Elvis's, or not Elvi. not necessarily Elvis. She was doing rugby people and various things. But this is a one-off Elvis from the Elvis Festival. So you like this, producer Mum? I talked about Rory Furlong on previous shows, who our streaming service thought was John Denver. He's now been joined by Tom Jones, producer Mum. Because for some reason our streaming service thinks that Tom Jones is American singer Porter Wagoner.
Okay, how does it make that connection? Do they look alike?
Well, I looked and I thought that's either a very, very young Tom Jones or it's not Tom Jones, because it doesn't look anything like Tom Jones to me. And yeah, it's not. It's somebody called Porter Wagoner.
Maybe he recorded.
I don't know
Green
much
Green.
about. He's was an American country music singer, known for his suits, flashy suits.
Green suits?
Used to sing at the Grand Ole Opry. There's a photo of him singing at the Grand Ole Opry in 1999. Passed away in 2007, born in 1927. I don't see any links here directly to there was a concert performed in his memory by Dolly Parton, but I can't see any direct links between him and Tom Jones. But I'm joined on air now by Elvis Pilsey, special guest on the show. How are you, Elvis?
I've got a cape.
What? Say that again.
I've got a cape.
Oh, so you wanted to join in with the superheroes, yeah? The superheroes are taking over the studio tonight. We may as well have Buzz Lightyear in as well, then. And isn't Harry Potter's probably a superhero as well? Hermione just took a dive bomb. There's Harry, and there's Ron, and there's Hermione, if you're watching on the video stream. There they all are.
Oh, but have I
And
got a cape?
Dumbledore. They're all superheroes in their own right, and those are all of the ones that I own. And there's Elvis, and Elvis is teddy bear. There you go. He's got his own teddy bear. And there's And there's a duck as well. I'm not sure what a duck has to do with superheroes, but I also own a plushie duck. So that's the sort of behind the scenes of my studio. And there's some other things as well. But yeah, let's stop just showing random plushy things on the stream. So, last song is going to be purple themed. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. So Tom Jones, Welsh singer, of course, although he has spent a bit of time in America. Fats Domino, American pianist, with Blueberry Hill. And to finish off tonight, we're going to have Coldplay. This is the reason I couldn't play Coldplay. Well, I could have actually played a couple of songs by Coldplay, but I wanted to have a diversity of songs. And I've left Coldplay for last. Partly because it's the only one I've got. I could have had Purple in the title. Obviously, we've heard Purple Rain. Obviously, by Prince. But that's purple, and the official Spectrum colour is not purple, is it? What colour is it?
Indigo?
No, but I couldn't find any indigo. No,
Lilac?
magenta's not a colour of the spectrum. There's deep physics reasons behind that I won't go into right now.
Violet?
Violet. But also, it's a double non-tenuous link, because we had Blueberry Hill. So we're going to finish off with Violet Hill. But before we do, any final words from you?
I'm just glad I got Violet.
Yeah. How about
Stay-
Dad?
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, just yeah.
Good night, everybody. Stay safe.
And it's nearly. Sorry, I'm just trying to. The superheroes. If you've looked on Twitter at Jamie Nemeth, the superheroes literally have taken over the studio. They've taken over my mic, and my mic is going lower and lower. I'm trying to tighten up the screws on the boom stand here. The superheroes are weighing it down. Superman surely should be able to lift the stand, because he's Superman. He can lift stuff. That's what he does, doesn't he? Come on, Superman. Come on, there you go. Right, he's holding it up for me just for the last couple of links. It's totally not my arm. Right, so tune in tomorrow. What day is it tomorrow? Sunday. They're all blurring into one. We've got Jay Adkins from 6 p.m. and Tim Willett from 8 p.m. No morning show tomorrow, but on Monday, the 15th of June, we'll be back with Sam and Joe from 9 a.m. And then from 6 p.m. on Off the Chart Radio, Lee Last. Caught his last show, actually. Really, really great tunes on his last show. That sounded an odd compliment. Yeah, they're going to be rubbish on this show, but they were good on the last show. No, really, really great sort of show, the last show he did. So he's on at 6 p.m. again on Monday. And then from 8 p.m. you can catch Aaron Glover for, I think he's on his last but one show, or is it his last show? No, it might be his last show. It's Aaron Glover's last show on Off the Chart Radio pop-up, excluding the one that we're all taking part in, which is on the website called Final Broadcast, because it is, on Monday the 22nd of June from 7 p.m. But yeah, thank you for tuning in tonight. Hope you've enjoyed the show, and let's finish off with Violet Hill. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to say to the people watching on stream, I have said goodnight on the radio show, but just clear Harry Potter's and Harry Potter film out of the way, so I can see my screen. As light has gone to infinity and beyond to the floor. Right. So this has been a bit crazy, hasn't it? But it's been fun. So if you stick with me for a couple of minutes while I wind down the actual radio show, which is still live now, I'm just not going to talk anymore on it. What I'll do is I will find out who's online and pick somebody at random to go and raid. If I sound new to it, it's because I am, but last week I managed it. So we'll do that. And find out who's on. If you want to send me a message, let me know your preference for who to raid, then you can. It'll be somebody I know, obviously, that I've met through Twitch. I've been told about how much it is really, really community driven, and I've seen that over the last few weeks. Again, partly because of lockdown, of course, but I'm sure it was like that before. I just was oblivious to it. Okay, so we've got people who probably don't need me to read. I'm trying to look for like somebody who's similar to me, just starting out. I invite you to follow me over to their channel when this stream finishes. So let's have a look. We've got somebody playing Rocket League. Somebody... Is that a game, The Last of Us? I'm not familiar with that one. So I got a choice between the two. What do you reckon, Rocket League or The Last of Us? Cast your votes now, and it'll appear in the chat up there. Where would you prefer I teleport you to? Because it's entirely optional. But this raiding thing, if you're new to Twitch like me, it basically means that once this stream finishes, you get automatically taken over to somebody else that I'm a fan of, and it's a way of supporting each other, and that's really cool. I like that feature. Started off as an unofficial, informal type of thing apparently, but it's very much a formal thing there. Let me give me a couple of seconds. Just turn off the radio stream. Otherwise, I'll be streaming silence. The radio station will be wondering why it's gone completely quiet for like 10 minutes. Okay, and that's me out. So, yeah, let's do this then. I was going to be adventurous and maybe play a game straight after my radio show, but radio shows can be quite tiring. And I can't reorganise OBS that quickly. So, okay, I'm going to make the choice for you then. Nobody's voted either way. So, let's... actually, one of them I've already raided, so I'm going to raid the other person. Just because I'm trying to be fair to everybody. So I invite you to join me to watch stream of The Last of Us, which I haven't seen before, so I can't rate this either way. Thank you for joining me tonight. Hope you've enjoyed, and I will catch you again on Tuesday from 8 PM UK time, EST. Did that go? I think that's worked. Maybe they don't allow raids. Something went wrong. Trying that, running that action again later. Oh, right, okay, that's right. That appeared in the little pop-up there. Okay, so, off now.